Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Now recently we hit 50 subscribers, which is pretty awesome, and I'm telling you we're going to be at 1 million in no time, and then we'll have a Conan seg here too. But anyway, for our 50th subscriber special, I guess you could call it, I decided to do another update with my 2016 Dodge Dart SXT. Make sure to go see the video I made before when we had just bought this, but I've had it for quite a while now. We've done quite a few things to it to kind of make it mine, and I decided to do an update video on it. First thing that we have had done is, unfortunately, we have a front license plate now, which is always sad because it kind of ruins the front of the car. However, when we bought it, it already had the plaque on there, screwed in, so I couldn't even get like a fancy thing that folds under like Gracie has. But we do have the license plate, it's all registered, and it is, you know, our car now, which is great. And so we had our local mechanic take a look at it and fix some things. So, first thing we did was fix this front license plate, because I don't know if you noticed in our original video, this was extremely crooked. I don't know, they like drilled 3 holes into the front and it was just a whole mess. So we got that all straightened out because that was driving me crazy. Some of you other people may have noticed as we pulled down on the driveway, we had like a felt thing hanging down from the car. So that was just like a under shield that was falling apart, and well, we just took it off because it was kind of unnecessary and it was dragging and making weird noises. So that's all fixed, all right? So we got all that taken care of. So under the hood, we have done a few things, nothing crazy. We have our Mopar cold air intake back in, of course. We bought that from my original Dart Rally. We had that installed, and so we took it off and put it back on this car. So we have another cold air intake, which is awesome. You may also remember that in this car, we didn't have very good speakers. They were crackling, it was you know, not that good. We have Polk stereo installed, and we put a Polk badge on the fuse box. The speakers came with 4 Polk badges, and they didn't really look fine on the doors or anything, so we just put it on here, so in case this car is ever recovered like 100 years from now, it's like, this is a very rare Polk edition Dodge Dart, even though it's not. But the speakers are in, they sound much better, like night and day difference, and I'm really glad we got those installed. Are you watching this? Because I'm going to do it first try. Ha! For 50 subscribers, I can close a hood now. All right, so along the side of the car, you can see the biggest change we have made is finally we have the 18-inch GT wheels on this car. And I tell you, it makes the biggest difference. It looks so much better with these wheels. If you look at how it looked before, we had, I think they were 16-inch silver wheels. And, you know, they had the thick sidewall, and they were just smaller. They were a lot thinner, too. So as I said, these come on the highest level Dodge Dart, the Dodge Dart GT and the Limited. These are 18-inch. They are painted black, not plasti dipped, which is nice, so I can wash them and then they'll actually look nice. And they also have wider tires. So these are 235 tires, so they're a lot wider as well. So they're bigger and they're wider. These are actually the same all-season tires we have on our Ford Focus ST, which you should also go check out. So these are sticky tires, but aside from the handling and everything, they just look so much better. They give the car such a better stance because you have the larger wheels, but also the wider, so they stick out a bit more, and they just make the car look planted rather than kind of high up and skinny like it did on the other wheels. So huge change, and I love them. They look so good. We originally bought these for my Dodge Dart Rally, but then we hit a deer, thankfully, before we put the wheels on, or else then we'd probably lose the wheels. But now we have them, and again, biggest change. So we have some footage of our local mechanic, Alan, putting these wheels on. So let's take a look at that. Hello everyone, welcome to a special episode here with our local mechanic at his local mechanic shop. You see over me is the Dart, and we're doing some upgrades to it.
This is the installation of the cold air intake. Eric, where's my intake? So to take this one out, we just took the engine cover off. There's a 10mm screw in, there's a couple clips that hold it on, and then we'll just pull right off. This is your stock air box, and this is your Mopar cold air intake. So you'll see on the inside, there's 2 different kinds of filters. This filter is much more restrictive than this filter. This box will also help isolate the air, so we get more cooler air into the engine. Cooler air is obviously more dense means more oxygen means you can burn more fuel and make more power. So we're probably going to add like maybe 5-10 horsepower. And it sounds cool. Alright, so cold air intake's installed. It was just one screw and a couple clips. Now he has a Mopar badge under the boot. So here's our difference here. We're going to be looking at the spark plug gap. You'll see the gap for this spark plug is bigger than the gap for this spark plug. See how this piece up here is thicker than this piece up here? This plug is worn because of the thickness of this is lost. And that center little guy down here is also taller than this center little guy down here. So the spark has a further way to travel to get to this piece which grounds out the spark than this one. So you're going to get a more efficient spark because it's easier for the spark to jump that gap. It's in the hole, fairly simple. And then you just use your little spark plug socket. And I usually just get them started, a couple turns each. And then we'll get the gun on it to get it the rest of the way down. You don't want to use a gun to start with the spark plug because there's a potential for you to strip out the spark plug hole, and that would not be good. Just a couple ugga-duggas with the gun on it. 10mm socket. God. This is how to change windshield wipers on a Dodge Dart. Wiper blade up, find the clip on the bottom. So this has a clip on it with a little cap. This arm, this U-shaped bracket, is going to slide in to this cap. Right? Slide it, and then you hear an audible click. Feel it jerk in place. Put that on. Now it can't slide back out. Fixed. All the way out. Look at this plate. Looks like it's been eaten.
Yeah. This is what happens when people drill into your car.
See, it's supposed to be right here.
Much better.
Perfect.
See, I'm a mechanic.
I removed lug nuts. Like,
Getting ready to put on the 18-inch wheels. It's gonna look so much better.
this is the last time we'll ever be on this car.
Now we're going to check if our old small wheels will fit in the trunk as a spare because we didn't get a spare with the car. So if this fits in the trunk, we can just use this as a spare. It'll be fine. Does the cover go down? No.
No, it does not fit you good. Get in. No! Sorry, is it like put the tire on the pressure. So, this is a Hunter tire machine. This is what we use to change tires. So, we're going to put this thingy in here, and it's going to hold the tire in place. Just 2 little tabs, slide it down, and tighten her up. Squish it. So we're going to use this guy. I don't use this. We're going to go about removing the tire sensor because we got to get them on the wheels. So, we're going to use a T10 socket. On our little ratchet here, I've broken down the tire. And we're just going to stick it in there, ratchet it out. And once the screws are removed, I can take the sensor out. Then we're going to install a new valve stem on the new tire and wheel assembly. And we'll be able to have this tire pressure monitor. Screws removed. After that, the sensor just slides right out. Yeah, it's your tire sensor. Alright, so as you see, I've broken down both sides of the beads of the tire. So now we're all top and bottom. So I'm going to pull this thing out. I'm going to lower it down. I'm going to go into the tire. Then I'm just going to raise it back up. And what it does is it pulls this edge of the tire over a lip of the rim. Now I'm just going to use this little plastic thingy as a placeholder, insert it on the right side of this piece here. Now I'm just going to slowly rotate it, and it's going to pull the tire over top of the rim. Now that's stage one, so now I have to get the bottom set of the tire up over this top piece of the rim. So I'm just going to keep going up. I'm going to drag it up, and then I can use this piece down the bottom. Push that up. And that's going to push it through, and then it's the same process over. Presto, tire's up.
That's how you do it, kids. Don't try this at home. Our local mechanic is an expert.
This is our tire sensor. Now the issue that we're having is that the old valve stems are stuck in the wheels, and every time I take them out, they break. And I don't have new valve stems with the proper adapter for this sensor. So, I'll show you. We'll take this out. This is what's called a slip fit sensor. You'll see it says press there. This would generally slip on to our valve stem. Well, it doesn't slip onto this one. It doesn't have the right adapter. So what I've done is I removed the press and I sanded this piece off in order to make a screw long enough to put it into the sensor. So now our sensor has a mounting point. So I'm going to do the same thing with the other three. I'm going to use our little table grinder. I'm just going to sand that off. Alright, so we're all sanded off. So now we're going to remove that metal tab and install the screw.
What he said.
Just going to use a small pry bar. That comes right out. Now I can insert my screw. It just goes right through the metal there, or the plastic rather. Now I'm just going to start to thread this on in place. Now I have a fully functioning and attached tire sensor. This is a local mechanic tech tip. When you're picking up a tire, it's best not to pick it up like this or like this. You want to start with the wheel facing the car. You're usually going to come in here, grab this part, and then roll it over and push up with your legs. Saves your back.
Nice. That looks so cool.
All right, so back of the car, nothing big has changed, though owning this car for quite a while now, we have noticed we are lacking the racetrack taillights around here. This middle part, it doesn't light up like it did on the other one. That's because this is an SXT, and I guess on the lower model, they didn't give you that option, which is really sad. So we are looking into getting that fixed because that is just such a cool feature to have the full light up taillight. It's so distinctive and very Dodge. And so we're looking into it. There are like kits you can get, and we're thinking about just going to a junkyard and taking one out and putting it in there. So we're going to work on that. It is a shame that they don't have that lighting feature. Another thing we're considering is getting a nice small fin on here, nothing, you know, like racer and crazy, but we are looking at getting a little fin just for added downforce for my front wheel drive car. But that's really all that is changed back here. Also notice we don't have the dual exhaust anymore. You just get a little dump out exhaust, which again, not as cool, but we're not going to look at, you know, changing that. We're just trying to get the taillight, which is really cool. Another thing in my original video, I realized I didn't show you guys the trunk. So really quick, let's do that. And it's a normal trunk. Although, I tell you what, this is a big trunk. We'll cut to a scene of our large man Brooksy climbing into it because he can fit in here, which is really cool.
There's no hope. There's no getting out of there.
We're trying to find where the emergency release is and we can't find it.
No.
Because those are mandatory.
It's in there for a second, too.
There aren't any. I don't know where it is.
It should be in there. They should teach you. I was thinking maybe, no, it would be on this. Up top.
Always check for Brooksies in your trunk.
And you'll notice we're missing the trunk lining. I don't know if that's how SXTs came, but I feel like they probably didn't. But, you know, I don't mind. Weight savings, right? So yeah, that's all that's changed back there. Again, perfectly normal. And we have a really cool Dodge Dart license plate. So let's get to the driving. Okay, so back in the Dart. Like I said, be sure to go check out my original video, some more detailed overview on everything. This is more of an update video. By far, the biggest difference is those wheels. I am so excited for them. They just look so much cooler, and they make the whole car look so much cooler. The black and the red just go together very nice. So yeah, we have the cold air intake installed, which I guess is a pretty big difference as well. You know, it's not crazy huge. It's not like we added a turbo or anything, but it does add mainly some noise. I think it's the big difference it adds. It just gives you a bit more engine noise to the car, which is always nice. You know, it's not something crazy, and no, I'm not going to cut the exhaust off. I'm just not going to do that. That would get so on my nerves. But the cold air intake adds a nice level of a bit more sporty without just being annoying. So I've spent quite a lot more time in this car since the last video. I've driven it a lot more and definitely figured out a whole bunch more stuff. So I owe you guys an apology. In my first video, I actually said that this car does not have Bluetooth because it doesn't have the screen. That is not correct. I have synced my phone up to this car via voice commands. Since there's no screen and there's no buttons to do it, I did everything by talking to it, which is very interesting. It was actually, you know, it wasn't that hard to do, although there's just so many options that you lose track of everything. But while I synced my phone up, it asked me for a name and what the phone was called, and I was like, what? That's so strange. So I waited for a while, and then I was like, e-phone, because that's what I named my phone. Get it? Because instead of the iPhone, it's the e-phone. However, now every time I go to use my phone, I have a phone button here. Listen to what the car says.
E-phone. Disconnected. Uconnect phone. Ready.
So I can do stuff now with that. Like I can say call Gracie and it'll call Gracie, and it's really cool, and I can use all my contacts. But every time I want to use it, there's a long, awkward wait, and then it says e-phone is connected. And I don't know how to change it, so that's just kind of how it is now, which is, I guess I'm fine with it. It cracks me up every time. But I can also play music off my phone. Like all I do, which is great, is I hit this button here. This player button switches your source. So I can go from iPod, which I showed in the last video, to my Bluetooth, to a CD if I had it in there. And you can cycle through, which is great because on the Rally with my giant screen in here, I had to go to phone, hit the e-phone, it would take like 2 minutes to sync, then I go to music, hit source, hit Bluetooth, then it would take 2 minutes to sync, and I didn't even use it. Whereas this, I hit a button, which is why, everyone, buttons and knobs are so much better than screens. You know, originally I saw this as such a downgrade, and I agree it doesn't look quite as nice and as high-tech and everything, but the functionality is really good. I really love how the system works. Also, if you remember in the last video, I talked about a strange screen I had in the middle that said, stored messages, no messages. And I was like, what the heck is that? As it turns out, that's like your warning messages. So if you have like check engine or something, that'll show up. You have check engine in there, and you can go back and look through all this stuff that's come up, which again is actually a pretty cool feature, and I didn't have that in the Rally. So as far as driving experience, not much has changed. Like I said, the cold air intake, does it add more power? I mean, maybe. Nothing noticeable. I mean, I do think it adds a little more torque. It's not night and day. But the main difference, again, is the wheels. They changed drastically. Now, downside, I do think they're hurting my gas mileage because I used to be getting like 30, now I'm getting 28. Still better than I was getting otherwise with the 2.4. I still think the 2-liter is more efficient. But biggest difference is the handling. Again, we got a lot more width on these tires, and we have more surface contact because they're bigger. But mainly it's the width, and just the tire compound is way better. So let's test them out, shall we? These are basically ST tires. So I'm sure you probably can't tell on your screen, but it is so much better. I mean, we were flying around these turns, and this thing is stuck. These tires are incredible. The Dart is already a pretty good handling car, I think, and with these tires, oh, you can have a lot of fun in this car. It is great. I love it. There are a few downsides. I think the road noise is a little bit more, as well as the ride quality is a little bit harsher just because you have less sidewall. But worthwhile sacrifices for more handling. And again, it's still not that bad. Like, despite all that, this car rides really nice. It still rides really quiet, and it's not like you're in a race car or anything. But again, the handling is much better, much better. So speakers, like I said, we have new Polk speakers. So we replaced all 4 speakers in the door. They aren't just the normal Dodge speakers. Instead, we now have some aftermarket Polk speakers, which is nice. Again, sound quality way better. Like the speakers, I think from factory are very good, but these had some damage to them. Like the ones in the back were super crackly, and the sound quality was way down. And oddly, when we were taking them out to put the new ones in, we had like some water damage on them, which is kind of concerning. But these are Aqua speakers, so they're supposed to be water resistant and waterproof and water sealed and all that stuff. So if I drive my car under water, the stereo will still work, which is great. I got used to the old speakers, and then playing these is like being in an orchestra hall now. It's really nice, and it's good to hear the whole song and not just, part of it. Something I always loved about the Dodge Dart, and again, like I said in the other video, why I got another one. The driving experience is just awesome, and I have to touch on it again because for this price point, this car is so much fun. It's not insanely fast. It's not, like over the top ridiculous, but it's so fun to drive. You don't have to be going fast to have fun in a car, and this car proves it. It's a relatively small car. It's not a crossover or anything, but you can fit 5 people in here somewhat comfortably, but 4 totally fine. I got a giant trunk, and it's a stick shift, which makes it just so much more fun. Again, I haven't driven an automatic Dart, but I can't imagine it's very fun to drive. This stick shift just is so awesome, and I love driving a stick all the time. I never get tired of it. But it adds so much enjoyment to the car, especially in this one, because this shifter is really great. Even though it's not the short throw, it's still a really great shifter. It really snicks in. It's not rubbery or kind of vague and all over the place. Same with the clutch. This clutch is really good. It takes a little getting used to just because, well, we're used to driving Chevys, I guess. We have a lot of Chevys, but this is our only Dodge, and so the shifter's a little different. But the clutch is still really, really good to use, and better than the Dart Rally I had. I don't know. This clutch it's just better somehow. Maybe it's the newer year, or maybe it's even worn down, so it's not as grabby. I don't know. But this clutch is better to use. And I don't know how well the engine audio came in, but with the cold air, when you're revving it out, it's great. But another thing I did want to touch on, this is the 2-liter engine rather than the 2.4. And before I said, I couldn't really tell the difference. After driving it for a bit, I can tell the difference. I still think it accelerates about the same, but the power is a lot higher at the top of this than it was at the 2.4. So at the 2.4, you got kind of the same acceleration no matter where you were on the RPM. Whereas this, you kind of have to rev it past like 4 to get the most horsepower. You just don't have as much low down torque as you did in 2.4, which makes sense, you know, it's a smaller engine. But again, that actually kind of makes it more fun because you got to downshift more and you know, keep the revs up and stuff. So it's still great. I love this engine, even though it's a bit smaller, it's just as good to me. All right, so that wraps up our video on the Dodge Dart update, basically. Again, thank you guys so much for 50 subscribers. If you keep subscribing, I won't have to find a job and I could just keep doing YouTube, which would be really great. And I'll buy more cool cars. But anyway, thank you for watching our update on the Dodge Dart. As I said, these wheels are so cool. They have made such a difference on this car. So stay tuned and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
It's Alan. He's in his mechanic suit.